Where does an economy begins, or where does great economics begins to become what they are today? Is it from gold, oil, land, resources, or it began somewhere we don't know, or somewhere that is not visible to us? Or per se, does it begin in the minds of a man or the minds of a human being? But the question still remains, where does great economics begin? Good afternoon, each and every one of us watching me, based on your location. I've been thinking about the greatness of empires, the greatness of economies, the greatest of all that are existing today. And the question I ask myself is that where does all of this great economic began before they are what we see today? And the question draws me closer to looking at the human concept of reasoning, looking at humans in making or by creation, how the mind of a human being acts, or how the human mind come to the innovative ideas that we have today. We look at great economy or great country or nations in history past. For example, one of the greatest economy or nation that once ruled the whole world that we know in history. They were strong in military might, yes, we no doubt. But when we look at their conquest, during their Greek conquest, we discovered that this economy were influenced or became so influenced when it comes to culture, ideology, scientific innovation, technologies in every aspect. And that happened because of the influence of the Greek empires. Their ideas and creativity that was discovered, or that they discovered, helped them to become what they became in history that we all studied about. We learned so many things from them, and even today, the political system today that we practice, almost if not all, we are all from some of those ideas. Because Greek scholars were known to be the great thinkers of histories, and which is why their structures and civilization was quite different from every other nation that was conquered by the Romans, which eventually they became the influential figures of the Roman history. Looking at the World War II, after most countries suffers diverse destruction, bombing and destruction of their structures, destruction of their civilization, each country, each nation went into investing into the mind of every individual citizen of their nation. Countries like Japan were also destroyed to a level that no man could think or imagine they would become what they are today. But the Romans now are one of the world leading economy, one of the world leading nation, because they invested in the mind of their people. They invested in the mind or in the knowledge aspect of understanding among their people, which their people were able to develop innovative idea, creativity in science, technology, psychology, philosophy, and ideas were reinvented, propounded, and theories were designed for the growth and development of the mind of their citizens. And today, they are who they are today. Looking at the British Empire or the British Empire today, they are great in the sense that not just because they had the resources, not just that the resources are available, but because they are investing in the mind of individual citizens of their country. And everybody now understand that I have certain gifts that I have to sell out or project out to my own nation so that my own nation can grow. because ideas are buried in individual mind, individual human being. But the problem is that whatever idea you have buried in your mind or deposited in your mind, you cannot think of how to harness, how to ignite, how to be able to work with this idea that is in your mind to be able to profile a reasonable solution to your people, to yourself, your immediate family, your local environment, not to even talk of before talking of the nation or the global world entirely. Because globally today we have ideas that we are propounded by a single person, a single individual. But as when and at the point of the point of the idea coming into being, he never knew that the idea will become something that will be globally beneficiary, or the world globally will benefit from that idea. But when he saw the vision behind the idea, the vision was unique to him. At the first point, there was nobody who understood what the idea was. But he had it in mind, he saw the vision in it, and he worked towards building it from scratch. And from the scratch, he discovered that the idea was unfolding into something beyond his own imagination. He saw that, yes, this idea can become something globally accepted. And then he built into it. And countries that have vision for their own people to grow, for their own nations to grow, when they see such ideas among their people, just like the economic of China we see today, major businesses we see in China today were as a result of individual persons who were able to design or foresaw the idea, and then they work towards building the idea, and then the government come into the picture, invested into this idea, and today it is a globally accepted idea. There are things today that we see visible. We imagine how was this thing formed? What was even the brain behind this idea? How did this thing become so well designed and structured for the human growth? But it started in an individual mind, a mind that you never can tell it has anything like that in it. But because there was a good environment, basic amenities, way of life that was good when it comes to learning. Because when a good learning environment is given to someone, and then a good means of living is given to him, where he does not have to begin to think, how will I eat tomorrow? How will I be able to feed myself tomorrow? Or how will I be able to cater for the children that God has given to me? When those thoughts are not continuously arising in each an individual human being's mind, the mind will be so less occupied. Then he can begin to think of innovation that are inside of his mind, ideas that are inside of his mind that nobody can ever, or nobody we can see except him that has the mind, because nobody has the knowledge or the ability to foresee something that is inside of another human being's mind, because the human mind is designed to be an individual's treasure house, where it is the individual person that has the mind that can foresee or see whatever that is deposited in that mind. And then before he can think of organizing it and then projecting it outwardly for the general public, for himself first, to have benefit or benefited from it, and then maybe his immediate environment, and then maybe extending it to the general public. And then if a nation that has the foresight to see the future in such ideas, the nation will quickly invest in this idea, and this idea becomes what will be not the single individual's benefits, even though yes, it's going to benefit him based on when the idea becomes so well structured, it's going to be a source of his livelihood, a source of him gaining way to propagate himself, or to expand himself when it comes to business, or when it comes to ways of living, when it comes to structurally himself, to be able to build another environment for his family that it will be well nurtured, well grounded, for his family to be nurtured in that environment, to be able to see beyond just what I want to eat or what I want to wear, or where will I be able, how will I be able to build my own house? Because today in my nation called Nigeria, each and individual person living in a rented apartment wish not to live in such building, even though we cannot afford to build house individually at once. But every expectancy of individual human being is to be able to have their own empire, their own residential place of comfort. But we cannot have that because of the system we came in to find out, or with the system we find ourselves. And as a result, we are operating below the level we ought to operate because of the system is affecting us directly. Even though the idea we are not sold out directly to us, but it's definitely affects us because we live in those systems. And even in attempt to struggle to be part of those systems, but it is like a wall, a shield has been cycled around the system for us not to get to that state, or for us not to get there. And then, just like we have always been fighting and struggling and praying to get to that state, division among us is not even helping us or helping the matter, because we have been so divided when it comes to ideas that we sell among ourselves, most especially the youth population generally today. But nations never grew in fighting themselves internally. Nation never grows by fighting themselves internally. Instead, they unite internally to project ideas that are going to grow them internally. And when they grow internally, every other person respects them, and then they see through a mutual beneficiary business in those places, because when you are divided among yourself, no nation would want to invest in you. No nation would want to come and invest, except a nation that has its own ulterior motive, which is just like we see today. Not every nation that actually is investing or is coming to into the nation of Nigeria actually has the interest of coming to help the nation grow. Instead, the foresight of the natural resources that we have in deposit beyond our boundaries of imagination is as a result of why some nations come to invest in us. But the problem now is that, do we blame the nations? No, we cannot blame them, because as individual mindset, or as individual human being designed with a mind to think beyond its immediate environment, we see opportunities in everywhere we can, and everywhere that is possibly available for us. And seeing an opportunity, every human being has a tendency of going after that opportunity. And going for that opportunity means you want to expand yourself, expand your locality, expand your nation. But we who has the opportunity among ourselves, among our people, the system is not seeing the opportunity, or the system, not that the system is not seeing the opportunity, the system has ignored the opportunity, has ignored every other innovative ideas that was propounded or designed by any Nigerian youth today. And because of our ideas are dying, young men will invent idea, or will design idea, or will foresee something in their mind, and then they'll project it outwardly, hoping that the nation will see it and then try to help them grow this idea to become a global or a national treasure or a national innovation. But the nation that is supposed to do this ignore and neglect some of this idea, and because there is no source of encouragement, ideas are dying on a daily basis. I've seen ideas in the social media world today where people come to showcase what they were able to inwardly project outwardly for it to be beneficial, not just for themselves but for the general public. But the idea will be neglected till this individual will live with this idea till he will later neglect it, or he will later forgo it because he has nothing to do, because he's suffering and struggling to eat. So you that is struggling to eat to find the next meal, can you be able to store an idea for a longer period? It is very difficult. I was looking at a street beggar some days back, sitting down on top a dustbin around Massacre area. So I stood and I was watching this fellow carefully. Can a normal human being with his right mind come and sit on top of a dustbin that is so smelling that people who are passing by the road, people who are passing by the road as feeling the uncomfortable nature of the smell that is coming out of this dustbin, that they don't want to go close. But this guy was sitting comfortably on top of this dirty dustbin that was gathered around Masawi, just by Area 1 junction. Seated there, gisting among themselves. They were about 3. Where gisting, one was eating. So you can imagine the level of his mindset. If that smell will still allow him to eat, then you can know what knowledge and information can do to somebody. When you lack the basic foundation, when you lack the basic understanding, when you lack the basic knowledge that will fuel your mind to become a positive thinking human being, you can do whatever that is least expected of a human being to do. Because that day, I kept thinking and pondering on these guys I saw. So the question now is that, does it mean that these guys have nothing in his mind? And the answer I gave to myself was no. Because after looking at the structure of an individual human being, a human being's mind, I understand that human beings, are all working treasures, working potentials that are waiting to be ignited, are waiting to be explored, are waiting to be discovered. But it takes an individual person to discover what he has deposited in him, which are called potentials today. And because he has lived below the level of him understanding what he has inside of him, that is the only way he knows how to live his life, to pick crumbs from the streets, to pick left abandoned. Yes, those left abandoned things are also resources, but there are a better way for those things to be harnessed. There are better way for those things to be gathered. Not someone becoming so mentally enslaved to the extent of the only thing he knows how to do is to expose himself unknowingly to diseases that will eventually become a problem for him to live as a normal human being, in the name of sourcing means to live life through gathering left abandoned property that are still useful in the date. Not that because the gathering those things are not useful, but the way he is doing it, the way they are doing it, it is not the way, it's not hygienic. Because health comes first before any concept of looking for money or looking for comfortability. You have to protect your own self health. Because when you are not healthy enough, even when you accumulate the money, how will you be able to just utilize or use the money? Instead, you will spend the money on hospitals and all of that. And that is a human being. That is a friend of mine today that I always sit quietly and then imagine his level of achievement at the present stage we are today. And when I look at him, I look at myself back then when I used to work in some companies, like I worked in Piota Company and then Mineral Depot and so many other ways I can keep myself, I could keep myself going as a young person. And this person is somebody that is very close to me. We live, we act together, we slept together. And then I had it much more to be able to help another person. But today, that guy, this person I'm talking about, I will not call his name because I didn't seek his consent. But today, he's living in a level that when I'm sitting on in my comfort zone, pondering on life itself, I began to look at how was this guy, how did he become this way? How was he able to achieve some of all these things? Then I discover, when I look at his life carefully, this is somebody that loves managing resources in the proper manner. Whatever he has, he tried to manage it well. He tried to think of how he's going to invest these resources to get another better returns. And as I watch at him so well, he once worked in a small venture called Azero Rice Company. And when I look at how he was managing this place, he was able to travel to places, states he never thought he could travel to. He was able to travel through flight. Travel by flight, not because he had it, but because the employer saw potentials in him, and because they saw potential in him, they invested in him, and because they saw the potential, they didn't even want him to go through the stress of traveling by road. because of the security of the nation. They gave him pay for his flight ticket to travel to places just in the name of that company. He had people who wanted to invest in him, but because he wants to invest in himself, he decided to settle and then grow his own small business. And today he's doing well. I used to learn, so he might not know that I'm looking at certain things he's doing. I'm trying to see how to be able to work so closely and then understand his concept of reasoning when it comes to business orientation. There was a day I was cooking in his house because he's a very close friend. I visit him once in a while. I was cooking inside his kitchen, and he was using this advanced cooking gas that has 3 or 4 burners. Me, who is not used to the 4-burner gas stove, used it, and then I was unable to. I didn't know that I had not off it completely. And me, who doesn't hear smell that quickly, was in that kitchen, and the gas was being exposed into the atmosphere. The gas had even diffused to even the outside environment. That when he was coming from where he went to get something, he was hearing the smell, and he began shouting from outside. So as he was shouting, I tried to explain to him that it wasn't intentional, but he wasn't too happy. So me, on the other side, was looking at his own management principle that he has designed for himself, because I thought he was thinking about the wasteful area or the waste that I was wasting his gas. But he was thinking of the security itself. So me, who was inside the danger, I didn't even think towards that direction. I was thinking of management. Even though I didn't know that gas was wasting. But he was the one that was pointing it later to me that he was thinking of the security. So then it was ignorance that was about to make me burn his house down and myself in it. So when someone is ignorant to something that is existing within him, he cannot know how to refine that thing, picture that thing, and then bring it to basic reality, which burns down to the general problem among we Nigerian citizens today. We are managing life because of what the environment we find ourselves presented to us, in the sense that the environment is not structured for individual human being to actually discover himself at the right time. And because of that, mostly it happens because most of us went to school with the mentality of studying to pass exams. And because we went with the mentality of studying to pass exam, we don't really know that there is something that we need to do, which is discovering our own area of potentials, our own area of gifting, our own area that is meant for us to come and make the world a better place for individual person living in the system of the world. But instead, the mindset we carry or we hold on to while going to school is that I want to go and read and pass exam. And because of that, when we come out of school, we sit for a longer period of time waiting to be employed by the government, by organizations, by some individual person who are lucky enough. Or will I say lucky? If I say lucky, to be as if they didn't know what we are investing into. But it's not actually luck to see. It is self-discovery. So we seek employment in some of all these places. And then sometimes we work in these places without feeling fulfilled, because sometimes they determine the salary we will receive, which might not really be to the level of our expectance, the level that is supposed to satisfy us, not to talk of our immediate family. But we manage that because that is what we're able to find for ourselves. But imagine someone who was able to go to school, discover himself before even going, because number one thing is that discovery has to even be understood at the secondary school level. At the secondary school level, someone has already understand what is going to school to study. Why is he going to study that course? And what is he projecting in the future to do with that course? But mostly we go in the name of going to study without a background of what we are going to study for. Some courses we choose today, we are influenced by some of our guardians, some of our parents, some of our teachers, some of our people around. Not because that is what we are actually supposed to study, but because we didn't know what we were supposed to study by ourselves, we end up studying what it was not even actually meant for us. While the idea that, or the knowledge or the area we're supposed to study kept ringing in our mind, that closest thing you love doing, you enjoy doing, without stress, with ease. And when you do it, you see yourself doing it in the best of your knowledge, in the best of your ability. It's part of what might possibly be what God originally planted in you to come understand, refine it, and then project it outwardly. But because we are unable to know what we are unable to discover some of, not everybody per se, there are people who are able to understand and know that, yes, this is what I'm going to study. And they went for it, and today they are doing greatly. That is why we are specialists in some areas of study, in some field of study today, that they are working in areas that human beings we begin to imagine. Human beings are being wowed to why they are manifesting the way they are manifesting, the way they are doing things, the way they do them, because they do things in ways that at least it is like a mystery to you that is seeing them act the way they act, because they have built themselves to become so professionals in those areas in the way that we never expected to be a human being to act. Because when a human being understands his area of gifting and is working and functioning in that area, he's becoming himself. Just like when we are mostly women who cook, although even men we cook too. When you are peeling onions, you peel it it has layers. That is how individual person is being designed by God. Where you are going to your gift or your potential, your area of gifting or potentials might not be clear to you at the moment, at the initial or at the exception. But it comes like in glimpse, where you see little understanding that I'm a bit good in this area. When I want to do this thing, I see myself doing it so with ease, without much stress. Or even if the stress comes, at the end of doing it, I see this glorious satisfaction I get from myself. Should I invest in this? But we don't think of those things because of the distractions that are everywhere today. The distraction will come across today, and because of that thing will be ringing within you. You'll be repeatedly doing it unconsciously or subconsciously. You'll be doing it, but you will never think or have the good guidance or the good understanding to think that this thing might possibly be something that will be my future glory. Because when you are manifesting in your area of gifting, the glory is visible to everybody that sees you, because people begin to see the manifestation of God's hand in you, which they will give glory to God who created you to be that way. But when you operate below the potential of your gifting, you are being told the salary you are going to receive. You are being told how long you are going to work. Even if you don't want to work till that time, you are being forced to work to that time because you don't have a choice. And those who are specialists in their own area of gifting, we work at their own time they schedule for themselves. To the extent some people abuse it. Because you go to some places where you are being sent to meet a specialist, he will give you time, but you will not meet up with the time. Or you will not even be there because he's attending, he is so occupied with so many affairs that he cannot have enough time to attend to everybody that he has booked to meet. Because the demand is so high. Because there are few in that special area. So imagine everybody was able to discover himself, and then we have more than 5 people or more than 10 people who are specialists in those areas. You will not wait for someone who has overbooked people to see. Not because you want to overbook them, but because that is the demand for his potential. That is the demand for his value, for the treasure he's carrying. So the thing is that beginning to think of investing more on information, investing more on knowledge is not enough, but investing on how to understand whatever information or knowledge it is being passed to you as an individual human being. Because today we pass through system of learning, but without understanding what that system of learning is meant to do to us. For example, I didn't have the opportunity to attend nursery or kindergarten like I used to always say, but I had the opportunity of attending nursery school from the village before I was transitioned into the city life by my parents. But I was able to go through primary school till I graduated, wrote my common interest, everything, but I didn't know how to read or how to read. Whatever you write for me, I'll just look at it like a picture. Because the system I passed through never taught me to understand what I was doing in school. I can be in school, copy note and all of that, but I don't know what I'm copying. I'm just see alphabets written on the board and then copy them. Until one day, my dad, who asked me to read something, to hear or help him read something because his glass was not close by. I was unable to read that thing. That was when he discovered that I didn't know how to read. My dad was actually the person that sat me down and taught me how to join letters together to form a word before forming sentences and all of that. Before my transition into the secondary school, which was something that another phase of life that helped me to understand basic principles of the learning environment. But even at that, I graduated from secondary school without knowing what I was going to study. I only went to study what my instinct made me feel I was supposed to study. And because of that, I came out of school with a third class degree. Not because I was supposed to graduate with that, but because I was so distracted in school. Because I was experimenting with the field of studies. Because I changed course almost 3 times within this one semester at 100 level, in 100 level. Because I was trying to make weigh the subject that I was given admission to study physics and statistics. JAM gave me admission to study statistics. Remedian gave me admission to study physics. But between these 2 courses, I chose physics. But at the end, something happened that made me decide to switch to economics, which was not even my intention from the beginning. I had the mind to study the physics till I graduate. But something led to another that made me change to economics. But even at the economics, I was so distracted in the sense that I was waiting for lectures like every student does. I was participating in everything. But there are some certain things that I do them not because I know that I know what I was doing. And also because it was not something that I was supposed to study. I couldn't find reasons beyond just studying to study that course. And I graduated with a third class. But looking at the third class today, it is later that I discovered that wasn't the third class is not just the issue, but I actually didn't study in the area that I was supposed to study. So that is life. So when the structure of the educational system is wired, is structured in the sense that every individual person will discover themselves early, know themselves early, and then go for what they are supposed to study early, they will study and become great people. Great people in the sense that that area of field will be what will make them meet people that will project them to boundaries beyond human imagination. Boundaries even beyond the sky, like we say the sky is our limit. I used to say God is our limit, not the sky. To me, I don't know, everybody has his own perspective. But I mostly used to say, I'm making it my slogan that God is my limit, not human design boundary of the sky. So what are we trying to say as individual human beings? In your locality, in your comfort zone, as you raise your children, what are you building the children to understand? To passively consume information that are being sold out as narrative in the society, or to have a perception of their own, or you build them to have a perception that is so unique, that is in line with the precepts and intent of God. Because today, there is intent and precept to the blueprint of what God wants us to do in life. But there is another narrative that the general nation or the general society or the general global world is selling to us to deviate and shift us away from the precept of God and intent that is going to bring us to our future glory. And that glory is glory that we see glimpses already in people, that we begin to wonder why they operate the way they are operating. But because we have not attained that level, it will be like a mirage. It will be like a mystery to us. Seeing something that is visible but not clearly understanding. But people who are manifesting in that realm, they know why they are manifesting in that realm, and they know why they are manifesting in that realm. So the thing is that, what are you projecting your child to be as a parent? What are you projecting your child to be as a guardian? What are you projecting your national treasure in human being to be as a nation? Because those are questions that we need to begin to ask ourselves for we to actually welcome the better new Nigeria we are hoping to get, we are expecting to own, to have very soon. Because in many cases we see youth or we see individual human beings as a Nigerian talking about Nigeria can never be well again. But that is just a narrative among the general public. But the narrative that we who believe in God orchestration of plans and structures knows that the blueprint of God is already working in Nigeria quietly, even though it is not yet visible for us to see. We cannot categorically say it is already present. In reality, we cannot categorically say any government will give us that soon, but we believe that it is workable within the mind of every individual human being. Because, sorry about that was network, because every great nation of this world today has the beginning of what it was designed to be, what it is meant to be, which is from the human mind. Every human mind carried treasures and deposit of treasure, just like the natural resources we see buried beneath the earth's surface, where we are ionizing today, where we are struggling so hard to harness, why we forget to harness this treasure deposited in the individual mind. The glorious treasure deposited in individual human being, that human beings are working with treasure they don't know they are working with. Human beings are carrying potentials they don't know they are carrying. And it's as a result of ignorant sell of information to people who are hoping to get information that will build and mold them to become greater people in the society. But they aren't privileged enough to come across some of this information. So today, I say, whatever you are giving out as information as a human being, ask yourself, what are the intent of this information I'm giving out? Are they meant to grow another human being like me, who is going to become a good human being to provide solution to also myself? Because whatever I give out is going to actually come back to you. If you sell evil, evil will in turn come back to you, because the person you are programming to be evil, when he begin to act and manifest in the evil way, one day you'll be on the road, constituted nuisance on the road, and you will be passing with your own comfort, mobility. You and your family, you stumble upon that person you once sold information to become who he is today. So the question is, what information are you selling? So let's continue to sell great information of innovation among ourselves, so that we can be able to reform individual mindset, reform individual mind to become a better innovation, a treasure house where we can go and tap potential, just like everybody is tapping from great people today, like a medical man who sells medical services, gives you the best of his ability, and you appreciate him. You travel from distant places to meet him because he is special in that area. Like my friend I always talk about, I used to say one day I will sit with him to guide me and tell me the secret behind his success, because I wish to be like him. He has his house, his comfortable house, he's living well. He has, at least it's not that he has attained the fullest of what he wants to achieve, but he's looking higher. He's looking up there to get there. Me that has not gone to the level he is now, I'm looking towards getting to his level before thinking of crossing up to where he's targeting, and even above where he's targeting. And that is life. So we individually work towards building each other to become better people by reforming the mindset of every human being. So let's continue to dive in. Let's continue to reform ourselves. Let's continue to share ideas to grow and help individual human being. And if there is something that I've said that is not in line with what is obtainable, with what's supposed to be aired out, you can correct and share your thoughts via the comment section. I still remember my humble self, Francis, and also my friend called me F Black, which our names are adopted. So stay tuned as we continue to dive in